Living in the quiet neighborhood of Maple Grove Estates had been a peaceful experience until Karen Jenkins came along. Karen, the self-declared guardian of HOA rules, was notorious for her strict enforcement of regulations, especially when it came to anything that disrupted the uniform aesthetic of the community. Her latest target? My mailbox. One crisp spring morning, I found a bright orange notice pinned to my front door. It was from the HOA, stating I was being fined $150 for my mailbox, which they claimed was non-compliant with community standards. The letter cited that my mailbox was an outdated style, slightly different in color and design from the HOA-approved model. According to them, it was an eyesore and had to be replaced immediately. I was taken aback. Not only had my mailbox been there for over a decade without issue, but I also prided myself on being a good neighbor who followed every rule. But what truly surprised Karen and the HOA was that I was a postal worker with 20 years of experience delivering mail in this very neighborhood. I knew the ins and outs of mailbox regulations better than most, and I could confidently say my mailbox was not only compliant, but in excellent condition. Before reacting, I reviewed the HOA guidelines and cross-checked them with USPS standards. Sure enough, my mailbox met all federal and local requirements, including height, placement, and accessibility for mail carriers. I also checked with a few longtime neighbors who confirmed their mailboxes were similar in style and color to mine, with no penalties. Rather than ignoring the fine or getting angry, I decided to take a professional and educational approach. I drafted a letter to the HOA board explaining my role as a postal worker and included references to USPS mailbox standards. I also attached photos showing my mailbox's compliance and its functional design that made mail delivery efficient and safe. At the next HOA meeting, I requested to present my case in person. When the day arrived, I stood before the board, explaining how mailboxes are regulated by federal guidelines to ensure safety and accessibility for postal workers and residents alike. I emphasized the importance of uniformity, but cautioned against enforcement that ignored these practical standards. I demonstrated how my mailbox met both HOA aesthetic expectations and USPS functional requirements, providing a balanced solution. The board members were visibly impressed by my knowledge and the clarity of my presentation. Karen, who had initially spearheaded the complaint, was surprised to learn of my profession and the specifics behind mailbox regulations. She hesitated but eventually agreed to rescind the fine, apologizing for the misunderstanding. I also suggested the HOA consult postal workers or USPS guidelines before implementing future mailbox policies to avoid unnecessary disputes. The board accepted the recommendation and promised better communication with postal services moving forward. In the weeks following, I helped neighbors understand proper mailbox placement and design, ensuring everyone's mail continued to arrive safely and on time. My involvement not only resolved the issue, but also strengthened community relations. HOA Karen tried to fine me for my mailbox, unaware that I was a postal worker with decades of experience, someone uniquely qualified to judge the matter fairly and professionally. Sometimes knowing the rules inside and out makes all the difference between conflict and cooperation.